Welcome to episode 4 of YOUx2, where we're on an adventure discovering the two of us that are living this human experience, this human body, this human character, and then the actor behind this character, which is a powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being made of unconditional love. So far, we've talked about where we've come from, why we even exist, and why we chose to even have a human experience. We've also been looking at how we can integrate what we're learning into our human life. In last episode, I talked about capital T truths, which what I mean by that is truths that are not of this realm. They're of the higher realm. They're the truths that don't need to be defended. It's just a part of our human experience, of our life experience. Now, the small t truths are a different story. They're formed in the human realm and are the offspring of praise and punishment. They're the popular opinion of opinions of what should be, supposed to be, needs to be, has to be, must be. You know, those great expectations. And we're taught to define ourselves by those external things. And because we adapt them on as the criteria by which we define our worth, we feel we need to defend our expectations at every turn, it seems. We assume everyone has the same expectations as we do, but life, of course, shows us that this isn't true. Actually, some of our own individual beliefs can even be contradictory to each other. So the battle to prove our small t truth is truer or more true than someone else's small t truth ignites. And how can we tell the difference between those capital T truths and the small t truths? And how can we become more aware of those higher truths? I'm going to answer those two questions with a story that Spirit gave me about the Strength card in the major arcana of the tarot. It really could be the poster child card of this YOUx2 message. In most of the standard tarot decks, you'll see a lion and a maiden with the infinity symbol somewhere on her or around her. Of course, the lion represents our human character, our smaller self, and the maiden with that infinity symbol represents our higher, infinite, eternal self. And the lion is born on this plane of physical existence, hungry and thirsty. And, you know, all of our little lions are told that they're going to find that which is going to fill up their tummy and quench their thirst, and it's going to find it out there. So the lion eats of relationships like romantic, family, friends, work, fur baby, feather baby, or it eats of situations like jobs, education, situations like that, or eats of things like body, possessions, bank accounts. But like American Chinese food, after eating it, it doesn't fill them up for long, if at all. And they're even more hungry after eating that, and they're even more thirsty after drinking of those things. So the lion gets desperate, and it's roaring in the jungle because it's so hungry and thirsty, it becomes hangry, hungry, angry. But the lion is not aware at that time of the maiden, at least at first, when it's born here. But the higher self is always aware of the smaller self. So she hears the lion roaring and comes to investigate. But she doesn't stab the lion to put it out of its misery or cage it to protect others from it. The maiden doesn't even try to control or manipulate the lion with a whip and chair like they do in circuses, because she knows what the lion is truly hungry and thirsty for: the unconditional love of back home. And because our higher self is a powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being made of unconditional love, she has what the lion needs, what the lion wants, what the lion is hungering and thirsting for. So she embraces the lion and gives it a huge hug of unconditional love. And the lion transforms from a roaring lion in the jungle to a purring cub sitting in the lap of our higher self, feeling whole, its thirst quenched, and feeling loved more than it had ever experienced in the world of external love out there. And now that the lion is aware of the maiden, it's not like Superman, where Superman comes down, rescues, and then flies off again. Now that the lion is aware of the maiden, they form this new relationship. And it's about like walking hand in hand through the jungle. And it's a whole new total life experience. And now can you see why this card is so perfectly represents this YOUx2 experience? The first question I asked before that story was, how can we tell the difference between the capital T truths and the small t truths? And as you saw, the capital T truths are those things that truly fill us up, because the small t truths of conditional love, they're unstable, they're temporary, because people change or pass away. So our relationships on the outside are unstable. Situations like jobs and education, etc., those things never stay the same. And of course, physical bodies, things, our finances, all of those things break down, deteriorate, burn down, or are stolen. So all of those are temporary and unstable, whereas the unconditional love of the capital T truths is eternal. It is stable because it's unconditional. No conditions, not even one single one condition, because all it takes is one to make it conditional, right? Another name for small t truths is expectations. And an example of how you can tell the difference between conditional, temporary, small t truths and those capital T truths is this. When we're in a state of no expectations, then anything that comes our way is extra. It's above and beyond. It's abundance. But if we have high expectations on what something should be, and of course reality is usually falling short of those expectations, so in that situation we live a life full of a feeling of lack and failure instead. It's like when you meet someone new. At first we have zero expectations because we didn't even know them before, and it appears that they are giving us, like, let's say an 8 on a scale of 10. And so we're like, woohoo, they're giving us like 8 out of 10. That's pretty awesome. And then let's say we start to date them. Well, our expectations might move from 0 to 3 instead. Now, the other person's still giving us an 8, but instead of it feeling like an 8, now 8 minus 3, it feels like a 5. But hey, in this day and age, 5's not too bad, right? So we start eventually dating exclusively, and our expectations move from 3 up to 5. Again, the other person is still giving us the same as they did in the beginning at an 8, but now 8 minus 5, it feels like they're giving us a 3. Again, in the whole scheme of things, we think, well, you know what, 3's pretty good, and we end up engaged to be married. Woohoo! And yep, our expectations leaped up to a 7, which feels like, what, a 1, right? Because 8 minus 7 equals 1. But we're engaged, we've invested so much time, we're like, you know what? Let's just move forward. I don't want to go through all that with someone else or something, right? So we reach the wedding date. And eventually, after the wedding, our expectations move up to a 9, and maybe even a 10. And at those times, even though that other person is still being the person we met at an 8, suddenly we think they've changed and they're not giving us as much or aren't as amazing to us as when we had 0 expectations on them. So whenever I'm invited to a wedding, whatever card I give them, I always write in it and say, remember why you fell in love. Remember that person you fell in love with and try to keep your expectations at zero as much as you can, because that is going to have this true bliss in a relationship if you can keep expectations low, because then they're always feeling like they're above and beyond, right? The second question I asked was, how can we awaken to the higher truths? Obviously, to awaken to the higher truths, we need to hear them from somewhere, see them somewhere, experience them in some way. By connecting to our higher self, that's when we really start to become aware of those capital T truths. That little lion inside of us reaches out to that maiden, and our lives are transformed. And we connect to the other world, the spiritual realm, our higher self, by purposely stepping away from all the chaotic noise of this world that is rooted in fear. We purposely raise our vibration to that of spirit, which is of unconditional love and joy and peace and laughter. And that's when we start having the clarity of the messages that we, can get. And how we do that is totally up to each individual person, because it's all up to us on how we're going to communicate and connect, and how we step away and raise our vibration. But we all have the ability to do it. Next week, we're going to be talking about just more of how we can connect to the other realms. But until then, I wanted to let you know, in addition to these videos, I also do monthly card readings for each of the zodiac signs, weekly energy updates for each of the elements, like fire signs, water signs. I do new moon and full moon readings, and a variety of others as well. So if you don't want to miss out on these videos or any of those others and be notified immediately when they become available, if you give this video a little thumbs up and click the like button, and then also click the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That allows you to set your setting to be notified immediately when they become available. And also, if you want to help share the love, doing any of those things helps the YouTube algorithm be happy, and it shares all these videos as a recommended videos with others. So if you feel so inclined to do so, of course, I greatly appreciate that, but never any pressure to do any of that. So I'm excited for what messages are coming next week. So until then, just know that each and every second of every day, you are unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And of course, I love you too. Have an amazing week. I'll be talking to you soon. And until then, you take care. We are. And so far, we've talked about where we've come from. It actually could probably be the poster child of the YOUx2 vision message. See them giving us, no.